30 days, 30 videos, the first daily uploads of 2021. Watch me do awesome things, like ruining a strategy in F1 2020. Returning to Overwatch for the first time in over a year.
I'm ready to win!
Hell yeah, you gonna win. Continuing the building of Bretown and City Skyline.
We got one house chilling. That's nice.
Or, if you're interested, discussing a bit of music.
I love the cover of it. It's pretty cool.
But of course, above all that, we're having some fun. Because why not? It's WCW's Wild June 21.
Hello and welcome to today's video. Today, we're here for a race recap. I'm going to grab my water bottle out of the way of the background. But, we're back in our normal spot. This is pretty fun. It's been over a week since I've recorded here. Feeling a lot better than I have the past few days. You know, we still got a little bit of a cough here and there, but it's way better. But we got to talk about today's F1 race. It's a wild one. Mixed emotions on it. Personally, as a fan of Red Bull. But either way, it was a very spicy race. We got off to the start, and similar to what I expected, Leclerc pretty much fell back pretty quickly, getting passed by Hamilton, Verstappen, and Perez. Perez made a great move to get up to the front there, the top few spots. He was absolutely killing it from where he started 8th or 6th, I believe. Not a brilliant qualifying result, but he got up to 3rd pretty quickly. It was good for him. And then things went, pretty calm, your normal running, pit stops, all that stuff. Then we get to about lap 31. That's when things went wild with Lance Stroll getting a blown tire, which, after the tire incidents, which we'll get to in a few minutes, Pirelli said that they are from debris. So, unsurprisingly, they're from Pirelli. To be like, nah, it wasn't our tire's fault. Stroll had a big crash. He was definitely climbing that wall. It was a bit of a wild one, to say the least. He goes out, we have a safety car, we get a restart. Verstappen absolutely destroys Perez and Hamilton on that. And we resume normal racing. But after the issue that Lance Stroll had on those hard tires that he had from lap 1 to lap 31, there was potential issues for the front runners. And that came up when Max Verstappen, leading with like 4 laps to go, blown tire into the wall, similar way to Stroll. Now, what this set up was obviously some issues because Max had done about the same amount of laps compared to Stroll on those hard tires. So, to me, there's got to be something wrong with these tires that Pirelli's not saying. There's got to be something going on. These tires should not have these sort of issues. These tires are rated to go pretty far into a race, and to blow out that early is a bit of a yikes. I got to be honest. I think that we got to be looking at something that Pirelli's going to investigate, because these tires shouldn't be blowing out, and their excuse of debris for Max's crash to be because of Lance Stroll's crash from 30 laps earlier is absolutely ridiculous to me. Somebody would have picked up a puncture before 30 laps. They're all running in the same lines the whole way. That's just absolutely ridiculous. So we get that safety car. Red Bull's kind of begging, get a red flag here. We don't have any more crashes. Perez is on the old tires. Hamilton on the old tires. Something's going to happen on these other cars. You don't want to see another big crash into the barriers. 200 miles an hour. You don't want that. So they get the red flag. It goes for a little bit. I was sort of fast forwarding. I watched it on replay. But it was a while of a red flag. We get the restart. Perez and Hamilton starting on the front row, and Hamilton has his tires smoking, or the brakes are smoking. He's accidentally left a switch on that heats up the brakes more. They do that start, and he gets a brilliant start by Perez, but the brakes aren't working that well, and he goes in that corner. Perez goes this way. Hamilton goes by him, straight on. Perez goes along to the lead, followed by Vettel. And Hamilton ends up finishing, where did he finish in this? He's actually pretty far back. Yeah, he ended up finishing 15th, only ahead of Latifi, of the drivers that were still running in the end. So he couldn't even get by Mazepin or Schumacher just because of how far back he ended up falling. So not brilliant there for him. I think that ends his streak of, I don't know how many point scoring finishes in a row. Like, it was 40 or 50 in a row, like something insane. First time since I've ever watched Formula One, since 2019 at least, was when I started watching it. I've never seen Lewis Hamilton not score points, so that's wild to me. But yeah, big win for Perez. I think he's keeping that Red Bull seat. So that's what I was saying with the mixed emotions there of Verstappen and Perez. Like, the good thing was that Hamilton did have an issue, so it keeps at least the championship close, because Hamilton would have either won or came in second if he didn't have his brake issue, and we'd have been looking at about a 20 point difference here in Hamilton's favor. But this year keeps it close. It keeps Verstappen with a 4-point lead. Perez gets up to third now on 69 points. Nice. Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc. We also got to talk about, again, Vettel getting on the podium. Very impressive. I want to talk about Charles Leclerc and his aggressive moves, which nobody's really discussed. My brother and I were discussing this, and it definitely seemed like Leclerc made some unsafe blocks. In the last lap or two, him and Gasly were racing. Leclerc trying to get by Gasly for third, and Norris went to go by Leclerc, and Leclerc made a very, very aggressive cut over, forcing Norris to brake hard. And I feel that was a bit ridiculous, but it's Charles Leclerc. He does nothing wrong, as we all know. So, not really surprised that nothing was even said about it, because we're all supposed to love Charles Leclerc, and we're just supposed to think everything he does is amazing. But, you know, he doesn't get penalties. I mean, we've seen that when he went around Spain last year without a seatbelt on the whole time for like 2 laps. They're like, you're good. So, not surprised. Nothing was said about that. But I think Norris should have definitely got on that podium. He would have got by Leclerc and Gasly. But either way, interesting podium. Perez, Vettel. Super excited to see Vettel up there. That was awesome. And also Gasly in third. We also got to talk about Bottas. This dude sucks. I'm waiting for when Mercedes sees the problem and gets rid of Bottas for George Russell. You got to do it now. I think that had that race played out like it was going to, had Verstappen not got that puncture, you would have had Red Bull, and Mercedes as your top 3. And I think for Mercedes, if they're going to compete this year with Red Bull, you need to have 2 good drivers. They're in the spot that Red Bull was last year. Like, Bottas is not competing. Wherever he qualifies, he finishes. So, besides, of course, when he qualifies first. But pretty much wherever he ends up starting, he finishes. He raced around 10th. How are you doing that in a Mercedes? You're getting passed by Alfa Romeos, you're getting passed by Alpine, you're getting passed by literally every bad team besides Williams and Haas are passing the Mercedes. You can't be doing this. It's absolutely ridiculous. And Bottas has got to go. I'm being honest. Bottas has to go. But either way, it was a wild race. Again, a lot of emotion, a lot of thoughts there on the things that we saw It was a spicy race. Azerbaijan provided one of the best races this year, probably up there with Imola for sure. So next week, there's no race. June 20th, there is a race. We are 11 days away from the start of practice in France, which is going to be a boring one. I fell asleep just thinking about it. Either race will be back in on the 20th to give you guys a preview of the French Grand Prix.